Okay guys, so we've changed camera angles. We're going to just show you a little bit more of a close-up of what we need to do next. So as I say, in here, should be able to see it, there's a small grub screw that just holds the barrel into place. I'm just going to undo that and then remove the barrel from the where the cylinder is. So I'm just going to unscrew this. This can be a little bit of a long process. Okay, so we're now left with the upper receiver and cylinder, and what I'll do is show you how to take that part as well, and the barrel. So we now have the barrel taken apart, almost. So the next thing to do is where this magazine stays at the front, there'll be a small Phillips screw. This can be quite difficult. What I find best to do is to lay the barrel on as flat surface as possible. Press this in, so press the back clip that you'd normally release the magazine with, hold it with the top of your thumb, and then just simply get the screwdriver down the back and a few quick turns. As I say, I don't over tighten anything, you know, I don't want to damage any of the threads, and that should come away like that. So now that's off of there. We've now got the barrel completely stripped bare. And the next thing is to remove the inner barrel from the outer barrel and then get to our HopUp. So the easiest way of doing that is you should have been supplied with your gun a cleaning rod, and you should just be able to see the end of the brass tip of your inner barrel through here. With a little bit of pressure, I'm just going to reach down and grab this cleaning rod. Just be able to place that in the end, and with a little bit of pressure on your inner barrel, you should just hear that begin to, let's try and get it on there. So just feed it using this to push the inner barrel down and out of the barrel. So let's just give that a bit more of a push. And once you've given that a little bit of a push out of the end of your barrel, you should then see the end of your HopUp unit. So once that end is out, just give it a little bit of a pull and a little bit of a twist, and your outer barrel, which is here, is now removed, and you have your inner barrel. So you can see on mine I have some spacers. Let's just move all this out of the way so you can see a little bit clearer what I've got here. So this is my HopUp unit, and I've got 4 barrel spacers inside here. These are Laylax. I'll put a link in the box below about where I got these from. I actually managed to get them really cheap. In the UK they can retail for about £12–14 each. I think I paid about $14–15 for all 4, and then all I've got here, you know, holding them in place is just some wrapped electrical tape that stops them from moving about. Now, to be completely honest, I didn't notice a massive difference using these, but I hadn't shot the gun much without them. They were kind of one of the first modifications that I did, and I've also found that they keep the barrel a lot steadier, especially when you're sliding it in and out. Also, it stops the barrel from being damaged when it's outside the gun, if it's lent on, or you know, if you put any pressure on it. You don't want to bend this barrel, so we'll try and be as delicate as possible with this. On this end you can see my HopUp. I have actually got a metal upgraded HopUp arm in here. You can see it's blue compared to the standard one, which is this white piece of plastic here. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see all of this detail. If not, I'll try and zoom in when I'm editing this and just show you the finer detail in here. So to remove the HopUp, the first thing you want to do is undo this screw here, and just remove the tension from the spring. You want to then press down on your HopUp arm and slide this O-ring off. So this O-ring should now be away from the HopUp, and the hop-up arm you should just simply lift up and out the way. Be careful because there's a small spring on here and you might find that will spring off. I've actually super glued mine in place so it doesn't move at all, and it just stops me from losing it if I've ever got the gun apart. So lift that up and out the way, then get yourself a small pair of pliers and just undo. Yes, like so. Again, I've got tape on mine, and just slowly undo that, like so. And once it's undone, you hop up a little pull, and your HopUp unit is now removed from the gun. So this is the small washer that you just had fall out then. That is actually placed and positioned on the end of your HopUp bucking, and that will stop you from causing any damage when the cylinder hits the end of the bucking. Make sure we don't lose that. Let's just stick that on Morph over there, and he will look after all of the bolts. So you can also see here I've got Teflon tape wrapped around my bucking, and that is just simply to hold it in place whilst I'm taking the gun apart. So first thing you want to do is check your bucking for any damage. I had my gun apart recently and I can see that there's no damage to the inside of the bucking. The best thing to do is to have a little look in there as well. So just to see if there's any damage, see if there's any rips or tears. As you can see, or there's any debris in there, there's nothing in mine. So that's all good and ready to go. So now this is the part that comes crucial. You'll find that there's a lot of tolerances that are on your HopUp that mean that it's loose and it wobbles about a lot, especially the amount of play in your HopUp arm. So if you can wobble yours from left to right, that movement is going to affect the BB. When the pressure's applied, depending on the amount of movement you've got there, whereas with mine there's a fair bit, you're going to find that that's going to apply the pressure on one side. So the best thing to do is to actually remove the HopUp arm. I'll show you how to do this. You can see it here, and there's a real great fix for this to remove that tolerance. Here I've just got some black electrical tape. I'm going to show you on my old HopUp arm how this is done, so that this is the HopUp arm you're going to have in your guns. So there's a real easy way of doing this. Get yourself some black PVC tape. Here I've got a scalpel. Cut yourself off a section. Be careful of your fingers. Let's just cut across there. Okay, right, so we've now got our black PVC tape cut. And what I'm going to do is just zoom in again so you guys can see this in a little bit more detail. Okay guys, so now we're a little bit more zoomed in. You should be able to see this much clearer now. What I want you to do is take your HopUp arm and lay it on the black PVC tape so it sticks quite nicely, and then just very simply cut around the outside. So essentially what we're doing is we're just adding a little bit of width to the HopUp arm itself. Let's try and do this so that my fingers aren't in the way so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So what I've found is that by doing this we're removing the amount of variable tolerances there are for the HopUp. So the less this HopUp arm can move around, the less likely we are of losing any accuracy on our shots. Let's just move all this out of the way. Stop to our desk. Okay, so we're nearly there. Let's just cut around the outside of here. Okay, so now we've added a slight bit of width to one side of our HopUp arm. And then go ahead and do the other side, and then place it back in to the gun, to the HopUp. As you can see, the sides on mine are already covered in tape, and it just removes that amount of tolerance. Now, when you place this back into the HopUp itself, you should find that there's no movement at all, and if there is, add a slight piece of tape again until you've removed all of that movement in there completely. So that should be stage one of your HopUp changes done. The next issue isn't actually with the arm itself or any pressure being applied. It's actually to the way that the HopUp is adjusted. So what I want you to do then is get your barrel, remove this, which is the adjuster for your HopUp, and then place that over the HopUp. So your HopUp is back in one piece. Now that it's back in one piece, I want you to move this O-ring. So the adjuster, I want you to see if you can move it from left to right, or if there's any tolerances in there. Now when I first got mine wobbled around quite a lot. So what I did was done exactly the same. Use the black tape, just create some pads, if you can see these, on either side of the HopUp. Again, this stopped the HopUp from wobbling around, and we're removing all of the tolerances. So once you've done that, put some small pads on either side and get it back together. Okay, so now we've applied tape to both sides of our HopUp arm. We've also applied them to both sides of our where our adjustment for our HopUp sits. What we're trying to do is, as I say, remove any movement that's in there at all. What I want you to do is then just press your HopUp arm down and into place, and just visibly look through to make sure that the two prongs are sitting down nice and level. You know, they're not sitting with one prong, you know, a lot lower than the other. They're just sitting in there nice and correctly. Hopefully now that you've taken that out, they should sit nice and flat. The next part of this tutorial is going to be just getting it back together and making sure that it's put back together in the correct place. So what I've just done is put my spring back into my HopUp arm. Give that a little push, make sure that's sitting in there correctly. You might find that some people apply grease and stuff like that to these parts. It's not something that I actually advise doing. What I'm going to do is just place some new Teflon tape on the end of my barrel. So let's just get some of that. You know, with this Teflon tape, the idea is not to use too much. You literally want to wrap around the barrel maybe 1 or 2 times. This isn't going to, you know, overly then apply too much width. Where it's not going to sit into the HopUp correctly. You know, let's just make sure it's nice and clean, done, and you know that you're not covering up the little depression that's in here as well. You want to make sure that that's uncovered. That's where the HopUp prongs are going to apply pressure to the bucking. Let's then drop this washer down into there. See, some people apply grease to this small washer. It's not something that I would advise doing. I just make sure it's nicely seated by pressing an Allen key in there. Then the good thing to do is to just very gently, you know, you don't want to force this, slide the barrel into the inside of the HopUp. You just want to look through that small little window in there and make sure that you can see the depression in the top of the bucking. Next thing to do is just to very gently do this up. You know, this shouldn't be something that's overly tight. If you can't do it up all the way to the base with your fingertips, then I would not overly suggest tightening it. I would undo it and make sure that there's nothing in the way. What you want to do is try and make sure that that depression that's inside the that's on the outside of the bucking is in the absolute centre of the window. If it's sitting to the left or to the right, that could be the problem that's causing your BBs to fly to one side. So, you know, aligning this, making sure that it's all sitting perfectly inside the centre of that window is going to give you benefit further on. What I try to do now is, when I tighten this, I try to hold the HopUp unit rather than the barrel, and I'll explain why. So let's just give that a very gentle little tighten. Okay, so now that's a tightness that I think that's comfortable for the gun. I don't overly tighten this. I think it's going to cause more damage and it's going to compress the bucking, and by doing that you may even, you know, be causing those tolerances yourself. Now all I do is make sure that the you know, the depression in the bucking is sitting dead square in that window, and then the next thing for me to do is to push my HopUp arm back down. Just make sure that the spring's sitting nice and flat and not in the way of anything. hold that down with my fingertips and then place our adjuster back in place. So that is the HopUp back in place now. We've removed all of the wobble from there. As you can see, before it would move around, now there's no wobble in there at all. The best thing to do now is just to have a little look down the barrel, make sure that there's nothing that's gone in there, there's no tape in there, there's nothing that's going to obstruct your BBs, and that your little patch where your HopUp is sticking through is sitting nice and flat. So that's the tutorial for fixing your HopUp. That's the everything back together again. Sometimes I will wrap a small piece of tape around the end of here, just in case anything comes loose, and then I make sure that I just pull the last time that I go round nice and tight so it stretches the tape a little bit, and then just cut that off with the scalpel. Okay, so everything's back together. The next stage will be to put this back in the barrel. Hopefully that will fix any issues that you're going to have with your HopUp. If you do continue to have issues, please give me some feedback. Tell me exactly the problems that you're having and I'll try to help you. All the stages of putting this back, just do it exactly the same as we took it out. Slide it back into the barrel. You might want to apply a little bit of grease to these spaces if you have them. But what I'll do is the next video I'll stay exactly in this same position. I'll show you how to take apart your cylinder and how to change the spring or upgrade within this